It's Dramatic Listening, the podcast where you learn English by listening to radio plays. I'm your host and teacher, Wendy Lambert. Welcome back to Dramatic Listening. This is episode 96, and it's the first episode of The Choice, a Gunsmoke radio play. And I'm calling this one New Guy in Town, Andy Hill. When you're new to a place, everyone you meet is sizing you up. They want to know who you are, what kind of person you are, what you're like. In return, you're probably sizing them up, deciding whether or not they're the kind of people you want as friends. Both the new guy and the local people are forming first impressions. Some people have a hard time getting past that first impression, while others are more willing to reserve judgment. That means they're more willing to wait for more information before deciding what they think of the new guy. As usual, this story is serialized on Dramatic Listening. This is the first one of the 4 episodes that make up the whole story. So if you want to start a new story, you're in the right place. Dramatic listening is edutainment. That's a combination of education and entertainment. It's all part of helping you keep up your momentum in your English studies. By making learning fun and giving you something entertaining to listen to, I hope to keep you interested and motivated. The podcast is now one part of my larger ESL site called English Momentum. I hope you drop by englishmomentum.com to check out the site, but also to get the free PDF that comes with each episode of this podcast. Just register and log in. Registration is free. As a logged-in member, you can download the free PDF. In it, you'll find the vocabulary and the transcript for the podcast episode to help you learn the words and read along. There's a new PDF with every episode, so I really encourage you to head on over to englishmomentum.com and become a member today. So, as I was saying, we're listening to part 1 of The Choice today. It's an old-time radio play from Gunsmoke, and it was first aired in 1955. Gunsmoke is a Western. It's set in the late 1800s, around 1870s, when people were moving west across America. Towns were being settled and growing into cities. The railway made much of this possible, bringing passengers by train to settle down in the West, make it their home, and making it possible to move products across the country so that people could do business. In this setting, we have the growing town of Dodge City. Many of the people who came to Dodge were ranchers and cowboys that they hired to herd their cattle, to look after their cows. The cowboys moved around a lot from place to place. Then farmers came. They settled down and they planted and harvested crops. They also built fences, which the cowboys didn't like. The cowboys liked to be able to ride their horses freely across the open countryside. In the town, there were shopkeepers, bankers, barbers, saloon bartenders, saloon girls, saloon is a bar, stagecoach drivers, that's like having a bus driver, and post office workers. And of course, there were criminals too. Men who stole horses or robbed stagecoaches or trains and banks. Men who were often quick to murder another man. The law was desperately needed, and in Dodge City, it was represented by the Marshal. Matt Dillon is his name, and his assistant, his deputy, Chester Proudfoot. Matt had to be a pretty good judge of character. He tried to keep watch over the ones who were troublemakers and intervene, step in, before they broke the law, if he could. In today's episode, Matt has to size up Andy Hill, the new guy in town. Listen and find out whether he thinks Andy is a good guy or a bad guy. We'll listen to Act 1 shortly, but first we have 16 keywords to learn. And remember, these words are all posted on Quizlet. So if you're a Chinese speaker, you could learn these words with English-Chinese flashcards and games at www.englishmomentum.com/Quizlet. Or go right to my website to the episode, and the link to Quizlet will take you right to the word list you need. And now for the key words. I'll be giving you the word, the meaning, and a model sentence for each one. And our first word is spoiler. A spoiler is a person who goes after the spoils, the loot, the things. Okay, so after a battle, there's a lot of stuff left lying around. You've killed off a lot of people. They don't need it anymore. So you take it. Okay, that kind of person is a spoiler. So you take the spoils of war. Or after a riot, maybe people are upset in the city and they're breaking store windows to show how upset they are. And then after the riot, when things calm down a little bit, other people go in and grab things from the store. And they steal things, TVs and DVD players or whatever. So they are also spoilers, taking the spoils of the riot. In Chinese, we would say, 掠夺者. After the riot, spoilers looted the stores. 暴乱后，掠夺者从商店偷走货物。Spoilers. Word number 2, Marshal. The Marshal is a man whose job it is to protect the courts, the judges, the witnesses. His job is also to arrest fugitives, people who are running away so that they don't get caught. These are fugitives. And to move or transport federal prisoners. So if he needs to move someone from one prison to another, this is also the job of the Marshal. In Chinese, we would say, 美国法警. The Marshal didn't arrest the cowboy who shot a man in self-defense. 美国法警并没有逮捕那个为自卫而射杀一名男子的牛仔。Marshal. Word number 3, chancy. This is an adjective and it means risky or dangerous, high risk. 冒险的 or 高风险的. Your travel insurance won't cover you if you get injured while participating in chancy sports like skydiving. 如果在参加高风险的运动时受伤，比如说跳伞，您的旅游保险将不会理赔。Chancy. Word number 4, depot. Depot is actually spelled D-E-P-O-T. That T is silent. The depot is a destination stop for a train or bus. So not a little stop along the way, but the place that you're trying to get to has a depot, 车站 in Chinese. As soon as Kitty got off the train, she met Matt, who was there at the depot waiting for her. 凯蒂一下车就遇到在车站等待她的马特。Depot. Word number 5, hog. A hog is a pig, a male pig that is being raised for meat. 猪 or 肉猪 in Chinese. The cowboys didn't really like the sheep and hog farmers. 牛仔不太喜欢养和肉猪农民。Hog. Word number 6, spoil. Now, this word spoil has a different meaning than spoilers. Okay, so spoil can be what's left over after a war or after a riot, but it can also mean to ruin or to make something good turn bad. So here, spoil is a verb. In Chinese, 坏了 or 弄坏了. You'd better get rid of that rotten apple, or it will spoil the other apples. Spoil. 你最好扔掉那个腐烂的苹果，否则会让其他的苹果也跟着坏掉。Spoil. Word number 7, armed. Armed means carrying a weapon, such as a gun. So you might hear them say, he's armed, armed and dangerous. So this describes him. This is an adjective. In Chinese, we could say 持枪 or 手持枪械的. The news report described the fugitive as armed and dangerous. 新闻报道描述这名逃犯手上有武器，且非常危险。Armed. Word number 8, bullet. This is a small piece of metal that is shot out of a gun, a bullet. In Chinese, we say 子弹 or 枪弹. My friend's been shot. He needs a doctor to remove the bullet. 我的朋友被枪射到了，他需要医生取掉子弹。Bullet. Word number 9, self-defense. This is a noun. It's a rather abstract noun, but we act in self-defense when we try to protect ourselves. So to act in self-defense, to harm somebody else because you had to in order to protect yourself. Okay, so then we say it was self-defense. 自卫行为. Sue kept a gun in her purse. She didn't plan to kill anyone, but if threatened, she would use it in self-defense. Sue 的包里 有一把枪，他没有打算杀死任何人，但是如果受到威胁，他会用它来自卫。Word number 10, stand up to. To stand up to somebody means to face them boldly when they try to intimidate you. They try to make you feel afraid, but you stand up to them and you look strong and courageous as you face them. You resist them. In Chinese, we would say di kong or fen ting kong li. The father didn't want his son to be a bully, but he wanted him to stand up to the boys who bullied him. 父亲不要他的儿子成为一个败领者，他只是想鼓励他抵抗那些欺负他的男孩。Stand up to somebody. Word number 11, draw. Draw. This is a verb, and in this story it means to pull a gun out of its holster. The holster is that leather case that hangs from somebody's belt. So if you draw your gun, you pull it out of the holster and you're ready to shoot. Draw. Ba chang. In a gunfight, the man who can draw his gun the quickest wins. 在决斗中，能够最快拔枪的人是胜利者。Draw. Word number 12, mighty. Mighty can be an adjective when it means you're strong, mighty, powerful, but here it's used as an adverb. So as an adverb, mighty means very or extremely. So in Chinese, 很 or 太 or 急 or 绝. That's mighty kind of you to help me out. 你那么仁慈来帮助我。Mighty. Word number 13, make out. Can have other meanings, but here it means to get along, to get by, to cope, to make do, to fare well, or to manage. In Chinese, we would say 处事 or 过日子 or 过得去. Many students make out with just a few hours sleep a night. 很多学生每天都靠着3-4个钟头的睡眠过日子。Make out. Word number 14, stage. This is a shortened word for stagecoach. So this is a passenger carriage that is pulled by horses. It's all closed in, so if it rains, you'll be okay. But it holds about 4 people. 公共马车. Stage. What time does the stage from El Paso, Texas get in? 埃尔帕索公共马车什么时候到达? Stage. Word number 15, ride shotgun. To ride shotgun is to ride on the stagecoach, sitting up on top beside the driver, and carrying a shotgun, and it's your job to fight off any bad guys who try to rob the stagecoach. So this is a job position. If you ride shotgun, you're there to protect the stage and everything it's carrying and the passengers. In Chinese, we could say, Ma Chi Bao An Wei Hu. Now, a shotgun is actually a gun with a 20-inch barrel, so it's a long gun, and it shoots pellets from cartridges, and they just splatter out all over the place in the general direction that you aim, so you're sure to hit something. In Chinese, a shotgun is san dan qiang. So ride shotgun, that's the kind of gun that you carry with you. There are often bandits in the mountain pass, so the stagecoach driver hired a man to ride shotgun. 因为山爱平常有土匪，所以公共马车司机雇佣了一位马车保安维护人。Ride shotgun. And finally, word number 16, outlaw. Outlaw. This is a person who has broken the law and who is hiding or running away to avoid punishment. They can also be called a bandit, an outlaw. 土匪 or 歹徒. The outlaws banded together and robbed the train. 歹徒联合起来，劫走了火车。Outlaw. Well, that's it for our key words. Let's listen now to the choice, Act 1. This part of the play is about 5 minutes long. Ready?
Gunsmoke, brought to you by Chesterfield, made the modern way with Accuray. Smoother, cooler, best for you.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the transcribed story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Oh, wait a minute. Chester? Chester!
Evening, Miss Kitty.
You were going straight to the bar without even saying hello.
Well, I figured you was kindly busy.
I'm busy telling Andy here about Dodge. Andy, this is Chester Proudfoot. He's one of the people you ought to know. This is Andy Hill, Chester.
Pleased to meet you, Chester.
Well, sit down. Sit down.
Thank you.
Chester works for Marshal Dillon, Andy.
Well, that ought to be a good job. Oh, it's a fine job. If you like long hours and poor pay.
He spends quite a few of those long hours sitting around the depot waiting for the Santa Fe to come in, Andy.
Well, that's just so Mr. Dillon will know where I'm at if he wants me for anything, Miss Kitty.
No,
Your name, Kitty?
I'm busy, mister.
They told me your name. Now I'm going to buy you a drink. Come on over to the bar.
Back to your hogs, mister. You're spoiling the air.
I'll have no talk from a woman of your kind.
All right, you get out of here, mister. Get out.
You putting me out? You ain't even armed.
Well, I'll find me a gun quick enough.
Hey, mister. How about me? I'm armed.
You're too young to be wearing a gun. Take it off.
You do it. You take it off.
I sure will.
From there.
You want to die, don't you?
No. I don't want anybody to die. Now, you get out of here.
I'm going to put a bullet in you.
You can't do it, mister. Don't try.
I'll show you.
I told him he couldn't do it.
You killed him, Andy.
He was looking for a fight.
I don't even know who he is. I never seen him before.
Oh, there's Matt.
Who?
Marshal Dillon, Andy.
Oh.
Did you kill this man?
I did it.
It was self-defense, Matt. Andy had to shoot him.
That's the truth, Mr. Dillon. If that man was treating Miss Kitty awful bad and I didn't have no gun and Andy stood up to him.
Get some help and carry him out of here, Chester.
Yes, sir. A couple of you men give me a hand here.
Kitty, let's step over here.
Yeah.
You and Andy, is it?
Andy Hill, Marshal.
You should have seen it, Matt. That man had his gun almost out before Andy even started to draw.
So you're pretty fast, huh, Andy?
I'm alive.
Where you from?
I told you my name. It don't matter where I'm from.
What are you doing in Dodge?
Marshal, I come here looking for a job, an honest job.
He told me the same thing, Matt. I believe him.
Why would I be lying?
Well, the way Kitty described it, you're mighty handy with a gun for a man who's looking for an honest job.
All right, I'll move on. I wouldn't have a chance here with you against me.
Matt.
Don't worry about it, Miss Kitty. I'll make out someplace else.
Wait a minute, Andy.
Yeah?
Go over to the stage office. That's for Jim Buck.
What for?
He's a driver. He's looking for a man to ride shotgun. Tell him I sent you.
Thanks, Marshal. I'll go over right away. So long.
You see, Matt? He did mean it.
Yeah, he wants a job, all right. But he's hiding something, Kitty. When a man hides something, it's usually bad.
But I got a feeling about him, Matt. I think he's all right.
Well, I hope so, Kitty. Won't be so good if I recommended an outlaw to protect the stage.
And now it's time for the walkthrough. The story starts with the intro to all the Gunsmoke radio plays, and we find out that it is brought to you by Chesterfield. So this is the sponsor, and it happens to be a cigarette company called Chesterfield. Gunsmoke is making money for the radio station through the cigarette company's advertisements. The intro sets the story in Dodge City. The sound of horses running takes us back in time to the Old West, the late 1870s or 1880s. We learn that there are a lot of people breaking the law, committing murder, and taking things that aren't theirs. These thieves are called spoilers, luredodger. In this setting, we have a lawman. He's called the Marshal. His job is to protect the courts, the judges, the witnesses, to arrest fugitives who are running from the law, and to transport prisoners between jails and prisons. In Chinese, we'd call him Mei Guo Fa Jing. He tells us his job is chancy. It's risky, dangerous. It's actually high risk. He has to watch his back. Make sure that no one is hiding, lying in wait to kill him. A lot of people would like to. Act 1 takes place in the saloon. Now that's an Old West style of a pub or a bar. It starts with Miss Kitty introducing two men to each other. So one man is Chester, the deputy marshal, and the other is the new guy in town, Andy Hill. Chester knows Kitty well, so when he's introduced to Andy, he more or less trusts Kitty's judgment of Andy and accepts this stranger as a good guy. Andy says working for the marshal must be a good job. Chester takes the opportunity to complain in a light-hearted way about the long hours of work and poor pay. Kitty laughs off his complaint and points out that Chester isn't always working really hard. He spends a lot of his time at the depot, Churjan, the station where the train and the stagecoach will stop when they arrive in Dodge. Another man comes over and butts in on their conversation. He's being rude, so Miss Kitty treats him rudely. She tells him to go back to his hogs. A hog is a pig that's raised for meat. Roju. So this man is a pig farmer. Miss Kitty can smell the pigs on him, so she tells him he's spoiling the air. 他使新鲜空气弄坏了. He's ruining the fresh air, making it stink. The hog farmer doesn't like being insulted. He tells Miss Kitty, "I'll have no talk from a woman of your kind." Miss Kitty works in the saloon, but she probably isn't just serving drinks. She's also likely a prostitute. Cowboys who haven't seen a woman for weeks while herding cows to Dodge City look for female company when they get to the saloon. So he has insulted her in return. Chester wants to defend Miss Kitty. He tells the man to get out of the saloon. The pig farmer says, "You putting me out? You ain't even armed." In other words, "Are you kicking me out? You don't even have a gun." Armed means carrying a weapon like a gun. 持枪 or 手上有武器. Ain't is slang. And we've talked about this before, but it's been a couple years. The word ain't, A-I-N apostrophe T, is like putting am not together. Ain't. It's considered poor grammar, but you'll hear it in spoken English. So it's the present tense be verb plus not. And it doesn't have to mean I am not. It could mean you are not, or so it could be instead of aren't, or instead of isn't. All of these are possible meanings. So when you use the word ain't, you don't have to worry about the verb, choosing the right verb to go with the subject. You don't have to worry about agreeing in number. So you aren't even armed. Here he says, you ain't even armed. So go ahead and use it in a casual way, but remember it is considered poor grammar. So you have to pick and choose who you're talking to when you use the word ain't, because it can make you seem uneducated. And on the other hand, it can also help you fit in socially if the people around you use ain't. So if you talk like them, you're going to fit in more. So the pig farmer, or hog farmer, says, "You ain't even armed." And Chester says, "I'll find me a gun." This is spoken English again, and it means I'll find a gun for myself. Andy, the new guy, steps in. He has a gun, and he's ready to shoot. The hog farmer is ready for the challenge, and he boasts, saying, "I'm going to put a bullet in you." A bullet is that small piece of metal that he shoots out of his gun, Zudan. So he says, "I'm going to shoot you." Andy warns him that he won't be able to. Andy's pretty sure he's faster than this man. Andy will shoot first. The hog farmer tries to pull out his gun to shoot Andy. Andy has to either shoot or die. Andy shoots and kills the hog farmer. Just then, Marshal Dillon walks in. He asks Andy if he killed this man. Andy says yes. Kitty comes to his rescue. She explains that it was self-defense. He had to shoot to protect himself. 自卫行为. Chester was also a witness. He saw what happened, and he supports Miss Kitty in saying it was self-defense. Chester explains that he couldn't defend Miss Kitty when this hog farmer was not treating her very nicely because he didn't have his gun. But when Chester was unprepared to do his job, Andy stood up to the pig farmer. He faced him boldly. He didn't let that pig farmer intimidate him. So to stand up to is Di Kong, or Funting Kong Li. Chester 没有预备他应该做的时候 Andy 抵抗了那位肉族的农夫. Kitty describes what happened. She starts with the useful expression, "You should have seen it, Matt." Now that's a good way to start telling a story. Now the listeners know that she's going to describe what she saw. She says, "That man had his gun almost out before Andy even started to draw. That man was first." To draw is to pull the gun out of its leather case that's hanging from your belt. Bachang. The pig farmer had his gun out first, but Andy was still faster. In other words, it was very clear, very obvious who started it. This makes Andy innocent. He's not guilty of murder because 2 witnesses say it was self-defense. But Matt Dillon is suspicious of Andy. He says, "So, you're mighty handy with a gun. You're mighty handy. You're very handy. You're very good at using a gun." So Matt is pointing out that Andy is a skilled shooter. He's good at using a gun. He suspects Andy is a bandit or maybe even a hired killer. Someone who uses his gun a lot. Someone who has to be a fast shooter to stay alive. He tries to find out more about Andy, but Andy isn't very open with the information. Matt doubts that he's really looking for an honest job, like Andy says he is. So Andy decides not to stay in Dodge City. If the Marshal doesn't trust him, he's at a disadvantage. He tells Kitty he'll make out okay somewhere else. He'll make out, or he'll get along. He'll cope. He'll do all right. 处事 or 过日子, 过着去 in Chinese. Then Matt Dillon softens and tells Andy to apply for a job with Jim Buck, the stagecoach driver. Stage is short for stagecoach. It's a passenger carriage that's pulled by horses. 공공마차. So go get a job on the bus, the stagecoach. Matt knows that Jim wants to hire a man to ride shotgun. 마차 bảo an wei hu. So he needs someone to protect the stage. He needs someone who's good at shooting, who's good with a gun. Because this man's job is going to be to fight off the bandits who try to rob the stage. This is actually a very important job because the stagecoach carries people, passengers, and on some trips it moves money from bank to bank. You need a very trustworthy person for this job. Matt is willing to recommend Andy to Jim Buck. Matt is probably influenced by Kitty's acceptance of Andy. He must think that Kitty is a good judge of character. Matt, however, still has reservations about Andy. He's not 100% sure about Andy. He knows Andy has a secret. He's hiding something. And that, Matt says, is usually bad. Kitty still has a good feeling about Andy. Matt hopes that Kitty's right. He's trusting her good feeling, her judgment of what kind of person Andy is. He hopes he has not recommended an outlaw, Tufei or Dai Tu, a criminal who's running from the law, to guard the stagecoach. So basically, this is a test for Andy. Matt will be keeping a close watch on him to see if he passes the test. Well, that's it for the walkthrough. Let's listen again to Act 1, Scene 1.
Gunsmoke, brought to you by Chesterfield, made the modern way with Accuray, smoother, cooler, best for you.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the transcribed story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Oh, wait a minute. Chester? Chester!
Evening, Miss Kitty.
Well, you were going straight to the bar without even saying hello.
Well, I figured you was kindly busy.
I'm busy telling Andy here about Dodge. Andy, this is Chester Proudfoot. He's one of the people you ought to know. This is Andy Hill, Chester.
Pleased to meet you, Chester.
Well, sit down, sit down.
Thank you.
Chester works for Marshal Dillon, Andy.
Well, that ought to be a good job.
Oh, it's a fine job. if you like long hours and poor pay.
He spends quite a few of those long hours sitting around the depot waiting for the Santa Fe to come in, Andy.
Well, that's just so Mr. Dillon will know where I'm at if he wants me for anything, Miss Kitty.
No,
Your name, Kitty?
I'm busy, mister.
They told me your name. Now I'm going to buy you a drink. Come on over to the bar.
Back to your hogs, mister. You're spoiling the air.
I'll have no talk from a woman of your kind.
All right, you get out of here, mister. Get out.
You putting me out? You ain't even armed.
Well, I'll find me a gun quick enough.
Hey, mister. How about me? I'm armed.
You're too young to be wearing a gun. Take it off.
You do it. You take it off.
I sure will.
From there.
You want to die, don't you?
No. I don't want anybody to die. Now, you get out of here.
I'm going to put a bullet in you.
You can't do it, mister. Don't try.
I'll show you.
I told him he couldn't do it.
You killed him, Andy.
He was looking for a fight.
I don't even know who he is. I never seen him before.
But there's Matt.
Who?
Marshal Dillon, Andy.
Oh.
Did you kill this man?
I did it.
It was self-defense, Matt. Andy had to shoot him.
That's the truth, Mr. Dillon. If that man was treating Miss Kitty awful bad and I didn't have no gun and Andy stood up to him.
Get some help and carry him out of here, Chester.
Yes, sir. A couple of you men give me a hand here.
Kitty, let's step over here.
Yeah.
You and Andy, is it?
Andy Hill, Marshal.
You should have seen it, Matt. That man had his gun almost out before Andy even started to draw.
So you're pretty fast, huh, Andy?
I'm alive.
Where you from?
I told you my name. It don't matter where I'm from.
What are you doing in Dodge?
Marshal, I come here looking for a job, an honest job.
He told me the same thing, Matt. I believe him.
Why would I be lying?
Well, the way Kitty described it, you're mighty handy with a gun for a man who's looking for an honest job.
All right, I'll move on. I wouldn't have a chance here with you against me.
Matt.
Don't worry about it, Miss Kitty. I'll make out someplace else.
Wait a minute, Andy.
Yeah?
Go over to the stage office. That's for Jim Buck.
What for?
He's a driver. He's looking for a man to ride shotgun. Tell him I sent you.
Thanks, Marshal. I'll go over right away. So long.
You see, Matt? He did mean it.
Yeah, he wants a job, all right. But he's hiding something, Kitty. When a man hides something, it's usually bad.
But I got a feeling about him, Matt. I think he's all right.
Well, I hope so, Kitty. Won't be so good if I recommended an outlaw to protect the stage.
Let's talk about it. Our last story was about Harry Lime, and I asked you if you thought Harry Lime was a good guy or a bad guy. And as we saw with Harry, no one is 100% good or 100% bad either. Now we, along with Kitty, Chester, and Marshal Matt Dillon, are trying to judge Andy's character. So what do you think? Is Andy a good guy or a bad guy? Do you think Andy should be trusted to ride shotgun? Tell me all about it in a comment below the show notes at www.englishmomentum.com/DL096. And remember, the English Chinese flashcards and games are available on Quizlet at englishmomentum.com/Quizlet, Quizlet. And for anyone who wants to review the vocabulary and read the radio play transcript, that bonus PDF is now at englishmomentum.com. Just log in to English Momentum, go to this podcast episode, DL096, and you'll be able to download the bonus PDF. You could also be listening to Dramatic Listening on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. You'll find a link to Stitcher in my show notes at EnglishMomentum.com. Well, folks, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining me again this week. And if this sounds like an interesting story to you, please share it with a friend. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye for now.